Audio Jungle.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Is Jason back? I think he's back. Hold on. Yeah, there he is. Jason had to pee.
Back.
Perfect timing, Jason. Oh, you got your
That
dog?
was good timing.
Is that a dog or a cat?
The dog is a good big old doggy. He's a good
I
doggy.
would hold up Levi, but he's eating.
Oh,
I brought his food up here.
What's up?
I brought Levi's food up here, so he's eating right now.
Yeah.
So,
say something?
let me say hello to everybody. Hold on just a sec.
Is there anyone here? Oh, comments. Shit. I had a
We have
chat. Oh, there's a lot of people
We
here.
have comments. Rosalia, Polly, Spike, Dolly, Zodiac Z, Amy, Gory Tiger, Tanker Yanker, my favorite name, Lance, not to be confused with Spank Tank.
Wanker
That's a
tank.
military term.
Yeah.
When you're in a tent with 8 other dudes and you have your own little section, they call it a spank tank.
Yeah,
Wait.
they also do that in the Boy Scouts.
They do. That's horrible. Jamie Webster, how you doing? David 92, Rosalia, Taffer, Shelby, how you doing? Yeah, nice to see all you guys in here. If some of you might have been here last week.
Maya.
We had Jason.
Hello, Maya.
Oh yeah, Maya, how are you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah,
Hello,
I like
Maya.
how some of your Jacob. What's up, Jacob? I like how Trina, Ryan. I like how some of your crowd will come over and enter. Like I'm peanut butter and you're chocolate, and they just kind of come together.
They I let everyone know we were going live, so we'll see more of my peeps tonight than we did last time. I didn't let anyone know last time. I don't even think they know I was on here. I didn't even say anything about it. That's kind of funny.
I see Chad Prosser in there. What's up, Chad? I need to adjust my light. It needs to be lighter, damn it.
Oh
Hold on.
shit! I didn't even turn mine on, but mine actually looks all right at the moment.
Yeah, yours is. Don't you
Without
dare
it.
adjust yours. Yours is perfect. But is that too
It'll
bright?
get
I
worse.
think that's okay. I look red though. That's what I don't
Yeah.
like about it. It's
Yeah, you
weird.
look
Let me turn
red.
it back down. I don't like it. It
Yeah,
kind of bothers me.
yeah, you look
Oh.
looking Irish.
Yeah. I gotta figure out how to get rid of the red. I think that's better though.
Well, if you were to use some kind of like purple or even like yellowish lighting, you would cut down on your redness.
Maybe, or not living in Florida. But
That's
you
how
live in
it works.
Arizona. What's the weather like over there right now?
I'm a professional colorist. Remind you.
Oh, there you go.
I know what colors cancel out colors. What is what?
What's the weather over there right now in Arizona? Is it hot?
It's cold, man.
Yeah.
It's cold. It was freaking when I went up to Sedona, it was like in the 30s.
Ooh, Jesus, man.
Yeah.
It's like the lowest it's gotten here is about, I think, maybe in the 50s. But right now it's probably in the 50s. But today it was up to like the 70s. So that's kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Definitely got nowhere near the 70s today.
Now, I was jealous of your ring light last week because normally I have a light over here and a light over here, nothing in the middle. And so today I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to fix it. And I got this big ring light like right there in the middle. So does it bother you to look directly at the ring light? Luckily, I got a Jason mask there to kind of make me happy.
No, because I put a ring light on the side and then I put another light. So I put a fill light on the right and I used my ring light actually as my key light. So
your ring light is not directly in front of you?
no, I don't use my ring light as like a single source. I actually use it as a key light.
Then why is your face like fully lit up on both sides?
Well, because I use a key and I use a fill, and then I use it back.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're better at this stuff than me.
Well, I did take some film school classes, so I hope I
Yeah.
know how to light a frame. Going up to who is that? Somebody just asked. Who the hell was that? Nick. Nick.
Yeah.
Yes, I will have a review for Destroy All Neighbors up hopefully tonight. We'll see. We'll see. I'll let Lee know if it's worth his time. I usually save Lee some time by watching everything and saying, "Yeah, you should watch this." And no,
You know
you
what's
shouldn't
funny?
watch this.
I literally, that's the first thing I was going to talk about because I didn't realize it's already out now on Shudder. And I saw,
Today.
yeah, I just saw something on one of the horror groups, and they mentioned that Destroy All Neighbors. Like what? And so I went and watched the trailer again. Doesn't that remind you a little bit of like Psycho Goreman? You know, some of the
Kind of. It reminds me. So Alex Winter from Bill and Ted's in it, and he was in a great horror comedy back in the '90s called Freaked with Randy Quaid, and Keanu Reeves even makes like a little cameo in there. But that's like one of my favorite like horror comedies of the '90s, and to see him back in horror comedy makes me think like if it could be on that level, that would be very exciting. So I have a lot of hope for that one because Alex is involved, and I think he has a really good sense of humor. I'm hopeful for it. The trailer looks super fun.
so you haven't watched it yet?
I haven't. I will watch it soon. You know, when we're done here, I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I might though. It looks good. The trailer looks really fun. It's got like a mixture of like rock and roll, rock horror, kind of like Trick or Treat, mixed with some nice practical effects.
Yeah.
So I might give it a shot.
Fauci.
Yeah, Fauci, what's up, brother? How you doing? Is it Fauci or Fauci? I always say Fauci.
Fauci makes him sound like he's overweight.
Brandon,
isn't that the dude from the CDC's name, Fauci?
Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not spelled that way, though. There's a U in his, right?
Yeah, his is
And he has
Fauci, I think.
Yeah, Fauci.
He's not as cool as Matt, though.
No. Who is?
Exactly.
Not us.
Hey, is When Evil Lurks the best film of 2023? Well, I mean, I think Jason thinks it is, right?
But not to Lee.
No, not to me. I think I like it. I think it's maybe top. Is it top 5 for me? Horror? Because I did 2 lists, so I kind of cheated. So it's hard for me to tell you if it's top 5 because I saved some of the good ones for the other list.
Why am I getting so much feedback? God damn it.
It's definitely one of the most memorable.
There. Fixed it. I mean, my favorite film of the year is Poor Things, but my favorite horror movie of the year is When Evil Lurks. So, yeah, I mean, for me, but is it the best film of 2020? Is it to you? Then yes. If it isn't to you, then no. We talked about this. We talked about this last week. Yeah.
There are no bad movies.
No, and by that admission, there's no good movies.
Uh-huh. Do you think I was reading something about? Sorry, I hate to mention these words, but Halloween Ends. I'm so stupid. I go on the forums and I read.
Agreed.
And if you don't like a movie, that's awesome. I'm not going to argue with you on that. But if you hate a movie, but then you list a reason that completely, it's like you didn't pay attention to the plot, then I got nothing for you. You know what I mean? Because this guy was just like, Myers getting his ass beat by Corey, and I'm like, sigh. This has been explained I don't know how many times, and I think a lot of people that complain about that scene, they know exactly what it really is, but they just choose to pick a scene that pisses them off anyway. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. Do you ever does that even count if you hate a movie because of reasoning that doesn't actually involve the plot of the movie? Like you missed the point. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it, right?
Right. I think at the end of the day, your opinion on the film for yourself is always going to be valid. It's just when you're going to when you want to go into a forum, when you want to go into an open discussion space, you're going to have to bring more than just your feelings, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're going to have a debate, you just in that space, you're going to need more substantive reasoning for why you dislike something, you need to articulate that point better than I just didn't like it, because you're not really bringing anything to the discussion. And if that's all you want to say, that's fine. But it's the level of like vitriol and the anger that they bring, and they're trying to prove you wrong. So they're coming at you in this like I'm going to tell you why you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And then they provide no points to do so. That's when it's more annoying. Like if your opinion on the movie is like, I didn't like it because I just didn't like it, that's fine. But you can't get into a debate then. That you don't have anything to bring to the table in a conversation. It's just, this is the way I felt, and that's all I have to say about it. That doesn't make, a good discussion or a good argument that may change my opinion. Like, oh, you felt that way? Oh, now I've changed my mind. You know what I mean? That doesn't bring anything to the table that illustrates and gets to the core of what other people might have had an issue with. So you're just not explaining yourself very well. And, you can dislike things in movies that aren't plot centric, of course.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we all have the tendency to dislike character decisions, whether they're believable or not. We talked about this last time, where people, in reality are scared. They make dumb decisions. And we, as the audience who are sitting safe in the theater, get to, observe that and be like, oh, come on, you should have done this. You should have just went and got a rocket launcher, something stupid. And it's like, you can dislike that, and that can irk you. And it's not because, as I've said a million times, character decisions are not plot holes. No. And that's something people really need to start to understand the difference between. Like, oh, this plot hole. And I'll be like, what's the plot hole? They would have never went here. They would have went here. That's not a plot hole. That's just a character's decision. It is possible that they went there because they did go there. A plot hole is something that literally has no explanation to it. You can't explain it. It literally makes no sense. It's like, no, that scene does not play into this scene because this happened. That is a plot hole. Not, oh, this person screamed when they were supposed to be quiet. That's a plot hole. It's not a fucking plot hole. You know what I mean? So people overuse that term way too much. So you can dislike a film for not being plot centric, of course, because there's tons of movies that don't even have a plot, right? There's vibe movies where it's like, you're just supposed to feel the film, and you could dislike the feel of that movie, right? Mm-hmm. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is one of my favorite films of the decade.
Yeah.
There's not really a plot to the movie, right? No. It's just a hangout movie. It's a day in the life. It's DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters, Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth. Like, it's just them kind of living, right? So your problem with that film might be that there is no plot, or your problem with the film might be that you don't like the characters, and none of that's plot centric. So you can have an issue with things that are outside of the plot and it be totally valid. You know what I mean? But you have to come with some kind of argument that can resonate on a level that is tangible outside of your feelings.
Yeah, it's almost like you didn't pay attention to the film. And I think this is something that we all have probably done. Say you watch a new movie, but you don't pay attention to the new movie because you might have somebody sitting next to you that wants to jabberjaw the whole time. And then after you watch the movie that you didn't really watch, you take it upon yourself to say it sucked and I hated it. And but you didn't really watch the movie.
You know who
I've done that.
Famous?
I'll admit I've done that before. I've said,
who's famous for this? I don't really talk about her much, but my mother, when I was a kid, my mother used to do that. Mm-hmm. And it drove me nuts. She talked through the whole fucking thing. She wouldn't pay attention. And then at the end, she'd be like, I didn't make any sense. That was a dumb movie. And I'm like, you were out of the room for half the film.
Yeah.
You talked through the other half.
Same thing with my wife. And I hate to throw her under the bus, but she will fall asleep
for
30 minutes. And then she'll wake up as the credits are rolling. And she'll go, God, that sucked. I'm like, well, you dreamed?
Yeah, right?
Not the movie. You weren't watching the movie.
Did you dream the ending?
Well, human behavior, man, it's just so weird. It's so interesting, especially when it comes to movies. And your mother, she's Jane Sixpack, right?
Yeah.
Like, I had this roommate one time, and we were going to watch The Ring. So that's kind of like timing around when this happened. The Naomi Watts Ring movie. I was like, Jody, let's watch The Ring together, dude. We've never seen this movie, and he's Joe Sixpack. He's not like us, and so that's cool. So we're watching The Ring, and all he does throughout the entire movie is he like, that's fucking stupid, you know. And I had to hear this running commentary of that would never happen, you know, just yelling at characters, arguing with the screen. I got pissed off. I was just like, Jody, what the fuck? I'm trying to enjoy this movie. I couldn't enjoy it whatsoever. Have you ever been in that situation? It's like annoying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course. We've all been in that situation.
We've all been in that situation.
We've all been in that situation. The funnier situation, though, and this is something all film fans do, and I've seen a ton of memes on this, and I laugh every time because it's just so obvious, like, to any film fan. But it's like when you go to show someone a movie you love, and you're just like more watching them, and like they're feeling like uncomfortable because you're like, are you going to react properly to this scene? Are you?
The scene's coming up. You tap them on the shoulder. Hey, pay attention. Pay attention. This scene right here. Look.
Yeah, watch now. Now you need to be paying attention to this moment now. Put your fucking phone away.
And that's when you're being the idiot, and they're like, "Would you fucking stop?"
For sure. Yeah,
I can't watch
we're guilty
the movie
of
because
that.
you're pestering me.
But okay, so on one hand, I will say you need to understand that we're sharing an experience with you because it's something that made us feel a certain way, and we want to share that with you. So that is something where we're coming from a place of like love and excitement. Like, no. I want you to also experience the joy I felt watching this.
Mm-hmm.
On the flip side of that, though, being film fanatics, we do have a lot of movies we can do that with. So if it was like one or two, it'd probably be a lot easier. But when it's like 1,000, I think some people might just get exhausted. Like, dude, I can't pay close attention to every single film you ever want to show me. So outside of my wife, she seems to just have limitless energy for it, and God bless her for it.
Do you have that friend? Could be an online friend, could be but they like horror like we do. But it's a 50-50 shot. Like any movie you recommend to them, you have no fucking clue whatsoever if they're going to like the movie or not. Yeah. Cause like, I think me and you might have, I think we're on the same plane, but there's sometimes I'm kind of shocked. I'm like, damn, I thought for sure Jason would like this and vice versa. You know, so I thought for sure he would hate this. Every now and then that happens.
That happens. Yeah, that happens for sure. Outside of horror, that happens with us quite a bit. So I don't feel like we are surprised with each other on non-horror stuff anymore. Especially with like Marvel or something. But with horror, yeah, we line up pretty well. But yeah, even with you, of course. I remember when you told me that you liked the Child's Play remake. I almost fell out of my chair.
Dude, I fucking love that movie.
Yeah.
That's the movie, and you have your movie, but I'm sure that's the movie for me that I don't get it. I don't get why people, A, don't like it, and B, like Megan better. And that's what's great about movies. You know, I don't know, there's like a chemistry in our brains that make us connect with them. But I've watched Megan 3 times. I've watched the Child's Play remake 3 times, and 3 out of 3, I'm like, that's clearly the fucking better movie. It's got plenty more blood. It has, I think it just has a more like a, I hate to use this, funner vibe. Yeah, I don't know. I just have a blast with, and it gets psychotic and crazy in the last act. You know, you got freaking Aubrey Plaza like hanging. You know, she's in a chair and she's like all bound up and everything, but. I love the one scene where you got the dude with the big freaking mascot thing on, and Chucky like goes in there and freaking stabs him in the neck and then pushes him out. I'm like, how do people not love this? This is horror bait right here.
Yeah. I would be curious on how many. That's a good question though that you've posed in my head. Like, how many people like both Megan and the Child's Play remake? I feel like the majority of people.
That's a good question for the chat. Do you guys like both movies? Go ahead.
Because I feel like most people are one or the other. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely way more of a Megan fan than Child's Play. Now, would I concede that if I could put them together in a way where I could take the kills from Child's Play and put them in Megan, I would have a better film? Sure.
Yeah.
But Megan is a 10,000 times more iconic character to me than that stupid fucking ugly ass Chucky doll we get in the Child's Play
There
remake.
it is, right there. That's it.
So that's
Because
a
people
big part of
can't
it, because
separate.
I think Megan is fucking iconic. Like the doll and the look and what she did for the genre, if you like her or not, she is a piece of 2020's horror history that will be remembered for decades to come. She is iconic. She is a very recognizable immediate hit of a like a visual character, right? And the Chucky doll, oh my god, I hate pretty much everything about the Chucky doll in the remake. So that's my big issue, is I don't like the doll, and Chucky's my favorite thing about the Child's Play movies. And when you don't land, like, it would be like making a Halloween movie and having a super fucking lame Myers you hate. You would not like
Corey
that movie,
Cunningham.
right? You would not like that movie, right? Like if
That's
there was a Myers in it that sucked and you hated, and the mask was like Resurrection Halloween 5 mask, you would be like, oh, oh, I can't. Even if the rest of the movie is okay around it, when you blow the central villain of your horror franchise, that to me, it's just. But I hated. I really just didn't like the movie. You know that, but we're complete polar opposites. That being said, it is ironic to me to a degree that Megan and the Child's Play remake are pretty much the same movie. And
Well, what I was going to say
and we
is
hate one
Megan,
and we love the other. So it is odd that either of us, both of us, are kind of crazy for not both liking both, because they're so goddamn similar.
well, I think if you like, Megan is, like you said, an iconic doll. Like when I first saw the poster for Megan, not knowing anything about the movie, I was like, boom, I got to see that. She looks freaky and evil as hell.
And how did you react to seeing Chucky
her,
for the first time on the poster?
Hold on. So they took her and they put her in I'd say a bad movie with really bland, annoying characters. That's what happened. Whereas I think if you put Megan in the Child's Play movie, like swap them, you have a perfect freaking doll movie, because I love the kids in the Child's Play remake. But if, I think the doll itself, Chucky, I refuse to see it as an actual Chucky movie. I look at it as an AI gone wrong doll type movie. And his face looks freaky as fuck, if you want to be honest. Like, if you can really take Chucky out of your brain and just watch it as an AI doll movie, look at his face when he's like standing there in the corner. When is the kid's name Andy? It's still named Andy, right? Yeah, and he's just sitting in the bed and he's like looking. And I think Mark Hamill, his voice is really creepy. So I think I free myself of my Chucky responsibility, I guess, and I just ignore that whole thing. So, it's always a good discussion.
Yeah, I greatly prefer the characters in Megan. That's another thing. I love the dynamic between the sister who's made a parent overnight, and the kid. I think the actress who's in that. Both her and her sister are some of the best child actors working in Hollywood right now. The McGraw sisters are awesome. I don't like the characters in Child's Play, but anyway. We're not even here to talk about Child's Play.
I know, that's what happens, man. We get the fucking camera on. I wanted to bring up this thing. I was going to pull it up on the thing, but I don't feel like taking the time. Yeah. But it's the Mia Goth is being sued for allegedly kicking a background actor in the head on the set of Maxine. She then allegedly taunted, mocked, and belittled him, daring him to do anything about it. So this is a case of maybe a method actor being a little bit too harsh with a fellow actor. And this, I'm sure this has happened before. Daniel Day-Lewis, you probably don't want to be around him when he is in a violent scene with a movie. But I don't know. Like, what do you think of that? Does that surprise you with Mia Goth?
So, full disclosure, I do want to eliminate the bias up front. Like, I would let Mia Goth do anything to me.
I didn't ask you that, Jason.
Literally anything.
The question was, would you let Mia Goth do anything to you? Yes.
I'm just saying. So my bias is on full display here. When I say this, because I'm sitting back going, oh man, I wish I was an extra that got kicked by Mia Goth. So there is that bias though, and I do think that because she is like a petite, beautiful woman, we would be more forgiving reading that than if, you know, Tom Cruise did it or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It definitely is. It is a bit of a double standard to a degree, but I agree. We would need to see more of the context behind this, and I honestly would say that because I was in the defense of like Tom Cruise when he had that freak out on set because these guys were breaking COVID protocols and kept getting the fucking movie pushed back, and he was like,
"Yeah,
you have any idea how much this is costing us?" And he's a true lover of cinema. And he knows that movies like Mission Impossible and whatever are tentpole films that hold the box office, you know, up and are able to keep the theaters and employed and whatnot. And so he was freaking out on set. And I always try to look at what's probably going on. And I think you said it best. I think that it probably is a method acting moment. When you see Mia Goth in interviews, she is the sweetest fucking person really on earth. She's so this does not represent her very well, and being in that headspace that she has to get into for Maxine, I'm sure she was in some really heated scene, probably went off script and was like going for it, thought maybe the extra was probably in a moment too and just kind of got lost in it. But
could have been like
could be being biased here, right? There was a really fascinating show on Netflix years ago, a couple years ago, where they took like 100 people. I don't want to get too into it, but the point of it is every episode they would take these people and they put them in different situations. Black people, white people, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, white, male, female, and they'd split them up on all these different groups. And they took this one thing where they took 50 people and just randomly selected and 50 other randomly selected people, and they put them in a room together, or in separate rooms, I apologize. And they showed them these court cases, and they read them out to them, and then they asked them how many years that these people should get for their crimes. In one room, they showed people on the pictures of these criminals, and they were classically attractive people, and then in the other room, they were classically unattractive people. And the room who had the unattractive people got over 20 years more per sentencing by the people.
That's insane. That's horrible.
So there's a horrible bias people have towards, you know, people they find attractive. And I'm not gonna say that, yeah, Mia Goth kicking someone in the head is I'm gonna jump to her defense faster than I would if it was Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's my thought on it. Remember in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre when Sally is getting the broom by the old man?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I remember, if you watch the behind the scenes on that, they were shooting that scene like all night. I don't know if it was all night, but they were shooting it for quite a while because it didn't look real enough.
Well, and they eventually did that with the chair scene too.
Yeah. Eventually, Sally was so fed up that she was just like, you know what? Go ahead. Let me have it. Just lay into me because I just want to get this shit over with. And he did that, and then that's the scene that's in the movie. So my thought on that is, if I'm a background actor in Maxine, which by the way for me, Maxine #1 with a bullet. Same. Movie for the year. Like I can't not like I'll be there freaking day one. I can't wait. Same. I don't need to see a trailer, nothing. But if I'm working on that movie, as long as she's not like breaking things like my arm or anything like that, you know what, Mia, go ahead, just give it to me. Give me all you got. You know, just be, don't like destroy me, okay? Don't knock me out, but I want the scene, because this movie's going to live on forever. So I want the scene to be what it is, and I want it to be great. And I want, when you watch the scene, I want to be like, damn, she really beat the fuck out of him, you know? So I don't think I would sue, but I'm not in his shoes.
I would assume that she kicked, like, I can only assume. We have to see it. We would have to hear more details. But my assumption is that she was in a scene. She, like, kicked him in the head accidentally, like, while she was, like, freaking out. And then when he was like, what the hell? She was like, do something about it. Just kind of in character, in moment. And then, you know, who knows? Because that we get such a short little blurb of, give me more context. Tell me, like, lay the scene out for me. Tell me more, you know? That's all I want. I want to know more about the situation. But Jonathan Major's career just ended over him hitting
that was
some
outside of the
abusive. Yeah. So if he's going to beat up his girlfriends, he's got to do it on set, I guess, huh?
I hope it doesn't hold up Maxine. That would be horrible. I'm guessing Maxine might be in the can. I don't know.
I don't. This is odd to me because I would assume this happened a while ago because they're finished shooting, right? So like we're just getting wind of this now, and it happened months ago.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it actually said that it happened.
It doesn't say anything.
It just says there's a lawsuit.
No, it just says what happened. It doesn't really say when it happened. So, but that's Variety. That's straight out of Variety. So yeah. Don't take my Maxine movie from me. You want to talk about some news real quick?
I mean, we just did. Let's go on.
Hold on. I guess that was. I'm going to clip that out. Fuck it. Why not? By the way, guys, whoever, of you guys that have subscribed to Drumdums Extra, thank you so much. For some reason, the last couple of weeks have been gangbusters on the channel. Like I had a couple of videos went like 3,000 views, and they're all like news type or topical type stuff. But I fully expected at this point, because I've only had the channel open for like 6 months, to be getting maybe 100 views a video. But I think there's a lesson I've learned here about YouTube, because I'm literally, this is kind of sad, but I'm kind of getting the same amount of views on the second channel with 2,000 subscribers as I'm getting on the main channel with 56,000. I don't know.
What can you do?
YouTube is so freaking weird, man. I guess if you guys are thinking about starting a channel, don't think that you got to get 50,000 views or 50,000 subscribers to get mad views. It doesn't work that way. You can get views. You just got to put out content that people want to watch. That's it. You know.
Absolutely.
Hold on, let me get this super chat, and then we'll go to the news. Chappie, what's up, brother? He says, thoughts, Carrie remake being a Shout Factory release, maybe with possible director's cut, which is something fans have been petitioning for since it came out, because the original cut was very different than the theatrical. Jason, do you know of any kind of differences that are supposed to be in the director's cut? Because I've never even heard about a director's cut to the Carrie remake.
Nor have I.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish, Chappie, I wish I had more information. Now, I think the Carrie remake is fine. I don't think it's a bad remake. I really enjoy it. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see a director's cut, because I think there's potential for that movie to be great. You had was it Portia de Rossi that's in that movie? She was like the bully character. She's really good. And Chloe Grace Moretz, I think she was I don't know. I've heard some people say Chloe Grace Moretz was too pretty for Carrie. I think 100%. She has, like, she can play both ways. I don't mean
no, Sissy Spacek is perfect for Carrie.
Well, yeah, of course. But I'm saying, I think Chloe Grace, I don't think she's like freaking Samara Weaving. You know what I mean? I think she could fit that mold of Carrie if you dress her down, right?
She's pretty great. She's pretty great. She's pretty freaking gorgeous. I don't know, man. Carrie is something that was already done perfectly. It was adapted about as well as it could. So much to the point where the Angela Bettis one is almost shot for shot, and the Chloe Grace one is almost shot for shot. The only Carrie movie outside of
the Sissy Spacek Brian De Palma film that I care about is Rage the Carrie 2, because at least there's something different about that movie.
Different,
right? Like,
yeah.
I don't need to see Carrie again. This is the third time we've done it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you decided. Now, if he's saying that there is some like drastically different cut, I don't know how that's possible, because it followed the formula of the first film to a degree, to a T. And I've read the book. Now the book is told from Sue Snell's perspective. So that's a little different. And I guess if you did like voiceovers from her perspective and told it more in that way, it would change the structure of the film a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it'd still be the same film. I mean, Carrie is she's a girl who is held in by her mom, who's this religious fanatic, and her mom is always trying to, repress and gaslight the shit out of her.
Yeah.
She likes a boy. She goes to the prom. She gets shit poured on her. She burns everyone down. I mean, there's nothing really. It's a great story, but it doesn't need to be told more than once.
I always say this. First off, let me say hey to Gory B Movie, dear friend. And she brings up a good point, too. Julianne Moore, I think, was great in the remake. That scene where she's like at the dry cleaners and she's like digging like some kind of knife or something into the side of her leg. That's crazy. But the one thing I always say about remakes is I don't think you'd necessarily need to remake something that is iconic like Carrie, that's like, masterclass. I mean, De Palma. De Palma's one of my all-time favorite directors.
Yeah.
Why would you even bother, like the Psycho remake, unless you got something completely new and original and visionary to say? And I think that is the problem that people run into with the Carrie remake. I think it's fine, like I said, but when you put it next to De Palma's, oh my God, De Palma's is a freaking masterpiece of a movie.
Yeah.
In every way. And I think it's much scarier at the end. It's kind of hypnotic. And also in like a nightmare type vision. So I think you should remake bad movies, because then you got potential to make something, really great. Like somebody was talking about Blood Rage today, and Blood Rage is a good movie. I like Blood Rage, but it's not like De Palma, like here. It's kind of cheesy B movie. So somebody sent me a message saying, hey, what if they remade Blood Rage? And I was like, yes, I would love that, because you could set it in the modern day and you could maybe make it more serious in tone and creepier. I think you have some open opportunities with like a Blood Rage remake. I don't know. Would you agree?
I think if you look at the history of film remakes, I mean, I think two of the greatest horror films ever, and easily the two of the greatest horror movies of the 80s are remakes of fantastic films already, right? Three of them. Just off the top of my head, you have The Thing, right? You have The Blob, and you have The Fly. So you should only remake movies that are the something. Just as The Blob, So those are of course templates for the 80s, but if I was to look to more modern films, another movie that, if I was to look at a perfect example of a movie that was great and then had like a vision to change, there's been a few recently. There was Maniac with Elijah Wood.
Oh my God,
right?
Genius.
So Frank Calhoun had a vision where he was like, you know what? The first film was genius because it was a slasher movie that was told from the perspective of a killer, as opposed to from the perspective of the protagonist. So his idea was, why don't we tell it from the literal perspective, the POV of our killer, show it straight through the eyes of the killer this time. Brilliant. And that shows that whole new spin. It's a completely new movie that follows a very similar structure, and I don't know which one I like more. They're both phenomenal films, and both performances by Joe Spinell and Elijah Wood are comparable to me. I think so. You have something like that. You have something like Suspiria, right? Where you have the original 70s
I
film,
was gonna
which is
bring up
super
Suspiria,
colorful and super vibrant, and it's super weird, and it's got all these different, it's got this amazing soundtrack that's
how
super
you do a remake.
bombastic and loud. And then you've got the counterpart Suspiria remake, which is very dull and bland in color, right? It's washed of color. It's got this really melodic soundtrack by Tom York. It takes all of these things that you were expecting, and a lot of people are like, well, you got to hit on these things. If you're gonna be Suspiria, you got to do all these things. And he was like, I'm not gonna do any of those things, and I'm still gonna make the movie work. So no, you can take a fantastic film and make it good too. You don't have to make it better. You can make it on the level of Evil Dead is another fantastic movie for me that took the similar tone, but went back to the roots, made it darker, and had this amazing cinematography, which of course the original Evil Dead had a budget of 2 cents, right? So they really put a high production value into it to show that contrast. So I don't know. You can, yeah. That's a good question though that we've posed in the past is like, what's a movie that has tons of potential in its story?
Yeah.
But that movie wasn't good, and I would like to see it redone and given the proper treatment a concept like that could have. And I feel like they do that sometimes with sequels. Like I think The Purge Anarchy did what we all wanted the first Purge to do, right?
Yeah.
You can do that in sequels as well, where it's like you have this really big idea that's exciting and you keep it small scale. We want to see what's happening outside. So then with the sequel, they make it. So you can do something like that with a remake as well, kind of give us what we'd always been wanting. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, I think you nailed it with contrast. If you're going to remake something that's iconic, it's almost as if Carpenter, even though he did, it's almost like he didn't watch Howard Hawks' movie. Like he didn't even know that it existed, because when you watch the original Thing from Another World and The Thing, they couldn't be farther from each other in terms of tone. And I always tell people, if you're gonna do a remake, look at The Thing. That's how you do a remake. You completely make it your own. And the common denominator with great remakes is more times than not an auteur director. A director that has something to say, right? Of
course.
So
Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I mean, there's a ton.
Mr. Clumps, he says, have you seen Home Sweet Home, the 80s Thanksgiving slasher with Body by Jake as the serial killer? It's so amazing. I've never even heard of it. Have you heard of this? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Guys, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Is it Jason that's frozen? I don't know. It could be Jason. It could be me. I have no idea. Let me know. Come on. Let me see. I think I just got a message. I wonder if it's Jason. Oh, Jason lost power. He's restarting his computer. Okay. I can keep you guys entertained while Jason is getting his computer going. Yeah. So he'll be jumping back in a minute. All right. Let me read some of your comments. All right. Rosalia says, cold got to Jason. Lee's coming through clear, Ryan. Thank you very much. Chester says, I can hear you. Jason is... Oh, here comes Jason. Okay, hold on. He's back. You don't have a light.
The fuck is going on?
The fuck is going on?
Why? It won't let me. Okay.
Oh, there you go.
What?
Yeah, I freaking I have this power thing under here, and my foot got caught around it and yanked the whole thing out of the wall, unplugging everything.
Damn it! Well, you jumped back quick.
I did. I turned my computer back on, and it put me back in here within 30 seconds. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. So have you seen Home Sweet Home? I've never heard of this movie.
Oh yeah, it's a good Thanksgiving slasher.
Okay.
It's not good. I'm sorry. Oh wait, have you seen Home Sweet Home, the 80s Thanksgiving? Oh yeah, there you go. With Body by Yeah. There's a really, really funny kill in the movie This
Yeah.
is probably the film's only memorable thing outside of the like uncle who's a guitar player and like annoys everyone with his guitar. Is it an uncle? Something like that. Anyway, there's this really funny scene, you got to see it, from Home Sweet Home, where this guy's working on his car and the killer comes up and he just body slams the hood onto the guy. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. That's like
Could
the
do like a
best scene.
suplex.
That scene's really
I love a
funny.
kill that you don't see coming. That's just so out of left field, and it like would never happen in real life, but they do it almost for like just shock and laugh value.
It's the reason you've never even heard of it is because it's not even like, it's hard to find on VHS, let alone they never released it on anything else. So if you want to watch it, YouTube is your only option, unfortunately.
I'm thinking of like Just Before Dawn. Okay, Just Before Dawn, because you got two kills in that movie that are just completely batshit insane. Like you got the one where he shoves the machete through the guy's dick and out his ass.
Yeah.
And that's like the opening of, that's like the first 20 minutes of the movie. And then at the end of the movie, you got, spoiler alert, Candace punching through the guy's mouth.
Yeah.
And like his entire mouth is like up to her forearm. I'm like, this is not something you would see in like a, like a mainstream, what's the, like an Adam Wingard movie, I guess. I don't think you would see something like that. But it's hilarious. Hey, let's talk about The Exorcist. I think a lot of people are here for that. All right, let me pull it up. I got it right here. All right.
You saw the news report?
Yeah, here we go. No surprise. I'm not surprised. I pretty much guessed that this was going to happen just because The Exorcist Believer is a very divisive film. But more importantly, it just didn't do that well. It did okay, but it didn't make the money that they wanted it to make at the box office.
No.
So if I read a little bit of this, let me just pull it up here real quick. I'm just going to read.
We have more news, right? We'll get to that.
Oh, yeah. We got another, the 28 Days Later one too. Oh, that's the one
with The Exorcist. I told you they just.
Some updated news. Okay.
Yeah.
Do I have the right screen pulled up? Let me just make sure. Yeah. Okay, I got that up. Okay. All right. So let me go read. I read through this before, so there's only a couple paragraphs that I think I just need to read. See, David Gordon Green is no longer directing Universal Blumhouse Morgan Creek's The Exorcist Deceiver, the sequel to Exorcist Believer. A search is underway for a new director. The movie was originally set for April 18, 2025, but Lionsgate Michael Jackson biopic Michael just took over that date, a project which Universal has overseas distribution. As such, The Exorcist Deceiver's theatrical date is now unset. Green is currently busy with Ben Stiller's movie Nutcracker. So I think that's all I need to read out of this. Now, to unpack that a little bit, I don't think anybody, and maybe some people are, but I don't think many people are shocked that this is happening. I mean, and you know what? I'll give you this, and I know me and you, I think we have different opinions on Exorcist Believer. I don't think you think it's amazing or anything, but I don't like the movie at all. Okay. I think it starts off with a lot of potential, but I think it just falls way apart in the last act. But not just that. And this is just a creative choice. People like different creative choices. I didn't really like David Gordon Green's direction and also the editing. For an Exorcist movie, I felt like the editing was just way too in a hurry and choppy and all over the place. And I was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? This is a sequel to the original Exorcist. Not that it has to be, William Friedkin Part 2. Make your own movie, but people make movies all the time, and it's hard to make a great movie. And I didn't think it was really anything special. And I when I saw it, I was like, I'm going to be shocked if this is a big hit, and this is probably going to be really divisive. So, I guess my big question here is. And I'll let you go ahead and say the update, the latest update. But do you think they'll even eventually try to make another Exorcist movie? My guess would be yeah, because they paid $400 million for it. So, what do you think's the next direction? I'll let you start with the latest update, and then kind of go into what do you think the next direction will be.
I mean, I think that said it there in the end.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's much of an update, honestly, because it did kind of say that at the very, very end, where it said that it was taken off the schedule, which is true. So that's it. It's just that it has been taken off the schedule. And so yeah, as far as this all goes, putting your feelings of the franchise of this entry aside, this is not unexpected, obviously. Just from a financial perspective, I can't blame Blumhouse for doing this. Now, David Gordon Green supposedly left of his own accord. Now, if they, I'm sure it was a mutual parting. I doubt they begged him to stay. After Halloween Ends pissed fans off, and Exorcist now has pissed fans off, I doubt that anyone at Blumhouse was like, come on, David, make another movie for us. So that him leaving, I think that's probably them allowing him to save face to a degree, because I'm sure they would have asked him to leave if he didn't. The thing that bums me out, and I would hope maybe kind of bums you out a little bit, because you are a Halloween fanboy.
Yeah.
And Exorcist might be something that you enjoy, but you're not like diehard about it. So this one isn't going to hit with you as much. But Halloween 2018 is a really safe, basic remake of the original film, right?
Mm-hmm.
Structurally. And
I think I know where you're going.
Right. So it does bum me out that I don't get to see his Exorcist Ends movie that potentially was on the horizon, right? Because, yeah, he's going to make the safe movie to start the new trilogy. To they do this all the time. They did this with Force Awakens. This is what they do. This is their formula. And it's in the next movie or the movie after that or whatever that they take the risk, right? It's the Last Jedi. It's the Halloween Kills. It's the whatever. And I'm kind of bummed that, whether it was Deceiver or did the third one have a title?
Not that I'm aware of. I think only Deceiver was properly titled. I don't think we knew. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think there was a title for the. And thank you, Brett, by the way. Good Burrow Hunting. He's doing his horror awards.
Oh yeah, go vote.
But yeah,
go vote if you
go
haven't.
vote, everybody. Really cool stuff. Thank you, Brett.
We should put the link, or actually, Brett, can you put the link in the comments for everyone to click on to vote? I want everyone to vote if they can. Take a minute.
Here, I'll say this.
Really hard.
I think, and this is me personally, so this is a selfish thing, but I think Halloween 2018 is a good movie. I think it's serviceable. Mm-hmm. I think more importantly, I think Halloween 2018 is a crowd pleaser. I think most people tended to like that movie, had a high Rotten Tomato score and everything. I think Exorcist Believer, it was tough to like that movie. And I know some people did like it. A couple of my friends, including you, thought it was okay. But I think most people did not like Exorcist Believer. And for it to be the first of a trilogy, I think you want to start off strong for a trilogy. And maybe what I thought you were going to probably say is maybe he should have went the Halloween 2018 route. And I guess from a story standpoint, maybe simplify it a little bit. Try to do what the original did so well. Because I think Halloween 2018 did what the original Halloween did well. So I think that's what he should have done with this movie. But I think it took some big risks in the final act it was almost like the Avengers of religions coming together to take down I don't think that's the right. If you don't want to go Catholic, that's fine. I don't care at all. Okay. I almost would have preferred them to maybe, if they want to just go voodoo. Yeah, go voodoo. That's cool, because at the end of the day, it's just an evil entity. And you can use whatever religion or entity of your own to fight that entity. So I think they just needed to keep it a little bit more simple, maybe slow down the direction, because the direction was, I think, pretty frantic. And I just think David Gordon Green, if from standing outside of it all, it just seemed like he didn't have a distinct vision. Like maybe he was in the middle of this shoot, and I think this does happen with some directors. maybe the movie was too big for him, and he was just like, this isn't going the way I wanted it to, but we're halfway through this thing, and let's get it out there, and hopefully some people will like it. I think David Gordon Green knew that this movie wasn't going to be a big hit, you know. But to answer your question about the original, I am a fanboy and a half. The original Exorcist is one of my all-time favorite films. I watch it. Yeah. I say I watch it every couple of years. I think that movie is, I hate to use the word, but I think it's perfect. And still to this day, I think it's arguably the scariest movie ever made. You know, the performances, the way William Friedkin would fire a freaking gun to get, you know, his reactions was funny. We were talking about Mia Goth earlier. You know, that movie, William Friedkin had a vision, and he would not stop until he got to the end of that movie. He knew exactly what he wanted. And I don't think David Gordon Green did.
Salo Joel Shang, Sinister Cinema Reviews, says, "Lot Exorcist fans are not real, just trolls. He's such loser." Sick English, A. And what the fuck? When did I say anything of the sort?
But dude, this is the shit that you get for liking any movie. Pick your movie, Jesus. No matter what. If I'll say this right now. If
say Lot Exorcist fans are not real, just trolls. He's such loser. As I said,
fans are not real.
I literally have no idea what that comment even means. I don't know if he's talking about you or me. Sure. I'll read it again.
Okay.
Sinister Cinema Reviews say Lot Exorcist fans are not real, just trolls. He's such loser. No punctuation. Mad face, thumbs down.
I had a back and forth with a troll.
What the fuck is that comment?
A few months ago. There was a troll a few months ago that we were talking about Halloween Ends on the stream. It was just me. And he said Halloween Ends didn't take a risk, LOL. And at least I could understand what he said. And I was like,
Halloween Ends didn't take a risk?
yeah, exactly. And that was my response. I was like, wait, I got to stop the stream. I got to read this comment, okay? Because whether you like Halloween Ends or not, it took a fucking risk, okay? If anything, that movie, a lot of Seed of Chucky took a risk, and I hated the movie, all right? That's what I'm talking about. People make up their own stupid fucking reasoning for disliking a movie when just say I don't like it. And give some reasoning that actually makes sense instead of just it didn't take a risk.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love trolls.
Damn, David Gordon Green played it so safe with Halloween Ends.
Yeah, he did.
Just gave him Jamie Lee Curtis versus Michael Myers like everyone expected.
Out of all the movies, I would say Ends took the biggest risk.
Easily.
So, yeah.
Easily. Of the
we
franchise, outside of
move on to
the only.
Go ahead.
The only movie that took a bigger risk would be Halloween 3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. But that was like saying that. That was like saying Halloween 3 didn't take a risk. LOL.
Right.
Well, that's another thing, too.
Maybe the LOL was like sarcasm.
Yeah. Now, maybe I'm wrong on this, okay? And you tell me if I'm wrong, Jason. But if you start a sentence off with LOL or ROFL and then your sentence, I've already lost all respect for you. And maybe I'm wrong for saying that, unless you're just joking. But if you're wanting to have a debate with somebody and you start it with LOL, I just can't take you seriously. Am I wrong on that? Probably. I don't know.
LOL, you're not.
Yeah. I do love trolls though. It's like that's the reason I still do YouTube, because I love
it's the best.
It's the best. It's so fun.
Go ahead. I had a client come in the other day, last Friday, and he had just started a YouTube channel, been doing it for a few months, and he didn't know I did one, and I told him I did, and then he looked it up, and he was like, "Oh shit, you have like a lot more subscribers than I do," whatever. So he started asking me advice on it, and he was like, "Hey man, like I just want to ask, like, how do you deal with the trolls? Like, does it like piss you off? Does it keep you up? Like, how is and that?" And I was like, bro, it's literally probably at this point the whole reason I do the channel. It's my favorite thing. It really when is. I read a comment, like I just had a comment the other day that the person posted it, and I tried to respond to it like really quick, and then screenshot it and put it on Instagram because it's like my favorite thing to do is show off me.
Oh yeah, me
destroying
too.
someone. The person said something like, "It's hard. You're hard to pay attention to. You sound drunk," something like that. And I responded, "Thanks. This comment just made me relapse." Like that guy is like, it's my favorite thing. It's my favorite thing to respond to trolls. So no,
Well,
when I was like, and he was kind of like, oh, you take it from that approach. That could be fun. And like, it totally changed his perspective on it. Cause he was like, you could tell it was like eating him up some of the shit he got.
99.3% of the time, their grammar is going to be really, really fucking horrible too.
I read them out loud to my family all the time, and we laugh so hard. This shit people write, dude, the way they write. I get probably, I would hope most of these people, English is not their first language, but I've seen a lot of people whose English is their first language, and they still write like that. The internet is not a, YouTube comments is a wasteland of grammar.
I would quit YouTube though if all trolls were kicked off of YouTube and couldn't comment anymore. I would quit. I couldn't do it anymore. This ain't
what
fun.
is like off the top of your head? What are the most memorable, like quick comments you ever got that you just really stuck with you and you laugh about to this day? I have one that's always stuck with me. I don't know why, but I always think it's so funny.
I can go with my most recent because I thought that was a doozy. You talk too much. Somebody literally said you talk too much, and I'm like, what do you want me to just mime my review, or do you want me to just do silent reviews? I don't understand.
Sign language.
Yeah, and it's my channel, and I want to. You know what? Like, when you do a review of a movie, or when I do a review of a movie. For me, it's important to get out everything I want to say about that movie, just because I think it's fair to the filmmaker, and it's just something I want to do. I don't want to just give you like the quick 5-minute review with the quick pros and the quick cons, and thanks for watching. Drumdum out. You know, I like to literally kind of have a conversation with myself like you do. Yeah. And but more importantly, I want to make sure that I get everything out that I want to say. And usually I'll try to tie in some sort of personal experience that I've had in my life that makes me, that might remind me of, something that I just saw. Right. So yeah, it's, I don't have a real job. Hold on.
I saw that.
Did you see that?
I did. Your name is Drumdums now.
Drumdums don't have real jobs. See, he just proved my point. You can't make this shit up, man.
Don't have real jobs.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, I will give you my full-time job and my YouTube. And you see if you're not exhausted by the end of the day. Because I have a full 40-hour a week, completely different job than YouTube. And I literally get up sometimes at like 3-4 in the morning, because I'll wake up and then I'm like, okay, I'll go downstairs and this is a chance for me to get some work done, and I'll edit. Sometimes I'll record right before I go to bed, just so I can get that out of the way. That way I have the rest of the time. Oh my God, time is such a resource, and I'm sure you have the same issue.
Yeah, gay porn is exhausting, bro. Let me tell you.
Tell me about it. Jesus.
It's a pain in the ass.
Snuff on the wrists and ankles.
Oh, shit, dude. One of my favorite comments ever, and it came real early on, like first 6 months or something, and I still laugh about it to this day, was, "You look like a cancer patient with a shitty beard." That got me
pretty good.
That got me so good. That got me so good. I still laugh about that to this day. So if you get upset about YouTube comments, you should not be on the platform. I remember somebody told me they were going to start one, and I tried to tell them, like, okay, well, just so you know, this is going to happen, this and that. And this person was straight up like, oh no, I'll never get they're like, I'll never get negative comments. That's not a big deal. Like, I'll never get them. I'm like,
Yeah, you just wait.
What?
I would say you got to have thick skin, but I don't feel like I have thick skin. I don't see trolls as real people. And I don't know. I had somebody, speaking of like the visual thing, I had somebody say, "Hey, lay off the hair dye," and I'm like, I've never ever. What is this? That's not black. That's gray. I've never used hair dye in my life. So, but some people they'll attack your physical appearance. That's just something you have to get used to with YouTube. Some people, they don't do YouTube. They don't even show their face if they do YouTube, because you do have that. In that regard, I guess you do have to have thick skin. If somebody's going to call you ugly, then some people can't take that like others, I guess. I'm comfortable in my own skin, and I don't really care about that stuff too much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about 28 Days Later?
What's this comment? Or do an Exorcist movie?
Oh yeah. Sorry. Gary, thank you so much. Says, or do an Exorcist movie based on the things that went wrong on the set of the night. Oh, he's talking about or she, I'm not sure. We've had movies like this about the making of a movie, which can be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on who made the movie and what's the story they want to tell. If they can make it compelling, I mean, that'd be kind of cool. Exorcist definitely had one of those really interesting behind the scenes stories. Yeah. I talked about it earlier with Friedkin shooting the gun off. Yeah. So I'd probably watch. I mean, more, but usually I'll just watch the documentary, right? I mean, I don't know. What do you think?
I agree. You got the Cursed Films episode. You've got the documentary on it. You've got, I mean, we could talk about those, but
dude, have you seen the Cursed Films episode on The Crow?
No. Weirdly, I don't watch a lot of even though I have all this physical media and I have every streaming platform that exists, I don't watch a lot of documentaries. I always just prefer when what the fuck is that called? Beyond the Darkness? What's that? God, you get me. You stumped me.
Into the Darkness? Is that what it's
Into
called?
the Darkness? Why is that doesn't sound right though?
In Search of Darkness. In Search of Darkness. Thank you.
I don't know the name because I didn't watch them, because I would watch them for 10 minutes and I would just be like, I just want to go watch these movies. It's cool to hear them talked about, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I'd just rather watch the film. I've always been like that. I never really get super into the documentaries behind the scenes.
Oh
stuff.
man, not me.
I like it okay, but I like
back before streaming, when we would just buy Blu-rays and DVDs and all this stuff, that was a big deciding factor for me, is if there was a brand new documentary on the movie. I think that's why sometimes we own multiple versions of a movie, because we like those documentaries. But I'm a documentary nut. I even did a video on my channel, top 10 horror documentaries, and
you made one. On what was it?
I've made 2 documentaries that they got taken down.
Pulled down. Yeah, they got pulled down. Yeah. What you did one on
I did one on Halloween and I did one on Scream, and I spent 3 months on each. That's the hardest work I've ever put in my life.
I was really bummed about the Halloween one.
I was proud of those. I got to say, I was really proud of the work.
Can you put them up anywhere else?
I have them on my Google Drive.
Vimeo will allow you.
But, well, I mean, I'll tell you right now, the Halloween one, I didn't have to take it down, but the Scream one, I had hundreds of sources on that thing. And there was, I won't say who it was, but there was one person, and this was 3 months after I'd put it out, because usually they do their checks and everything. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, they did their checks. Everything's good to go. Capiche? Okay, now I got to go forward. 3 months later, 30,000 views later, I got a strike just out of nowhere, and I was like, "What the hell just happened?" And I found out that one of the documentary owners of one of the pieces of footage that I used, he didn't like that I used his footage, and I got his email. I sent him an email, nice full email, explained who I was and how important the Scream was to me, or at least making the documentary. No response. And I don't know. If it were me and somebody wanted to use some of my work, if they reach out to me and we talk about it, but that's just me. He didn't want to talk about it. And I was like, I got way too much pride to pester anybody. I'll send one email and then I go on with my life. And that's what I did.
Did you keep that vague on purpose on who it was?
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah. Okay.
I didn't want to because he's definitely a bigger person in the Scream and Halloween documentary industry. And funny enough, we follow each other on Facebook. I don't think he knows that. I don't know, but we've actually followed each other on Facebook for years. And I was shocked. I was just like, wow, we can't talk about this. If you want me to take down the documentary, I'll do that. I got no problem with that. But strike and no response, I thought it was just kind of weird, if you ask me. But
yeah, too bad. Too bad.
That's why you don't put footage in your videos, right? Because that's the game you play.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, too bad it wasn't Wes Craven. You could have challenged it. And,
well, I did have some people in the comments. They were like, "Why can't you make your own content and your own footage? Why are you barring?" And I think people don't understand that it's very common. Like, let's put it this way. What? Chris Stuckman, Jeremy Johns, every video that they put out, they use copyrighted content. Those movie trailers that we all watch every day, that we see in every review that comes out besides Jason's, that's copyrighted content. That's no different than what I did for the documentary. So,
dude, every time I use it, my videos get pulled down.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, I don't know how you guys ever get away with it.
Let's put it this way. Video essays, oh my God, they use probably far more footage than I used in my freaking an hour and a half documentary. That's why I pulled from hundreds of sources, and I would just use little things from this and that. So I thought about, I could literally go back into the editing bay, and I could take out that footage and put the thing back out. But I don't want to take that risk again of somebody else, doing a
strike. Yeah.
Hell no. I don't want another strike. So,
no.
But I will say it's on, I backed everything up. It's on my Google Drive, and it's something that I offer my patrons. I don't like saying that out loud, but fuck it. I'll say it. Yeah. My patrons, they can watch it for free. Well, I guess not free because they're giving me money every month. Actually, I have, because Patreon has free patrons now. I like Polly. She's a free patron. If Polly asked me, Lee, can I watch your documentary? Sure. I tell you what, if anybody in the chat, literally, like, you're not even my patron. If you sent me a message saying, hey, Lee, could I watch the documentary? I'm going to say yes. I share my Blu-ray, my Blue Myers cut of Halloween 6 on a daily basis for people. Yeah. I'm not the type of guy that wants money. I don't care. I want people to see the product that I put out. And it's a shame that I couldn't put it out on YouTube. But, that's the way it is. So
Lee the philanthropist.
Right. Yeah, I've never really been into YouTube for the money. I always got into it because I was just passionate about talking about film. That's never been a thing for me. And I think that's why I won't quit my job. Like, technically, if I wanted to, maybe I could go full time. I haven't done all the numbers yet, but I don't think, and those people that do it full time, God bless them. And that makes them happy. And I love that. Yeah. You're pursuing your dream. I think that's the greatest thing. That's not my dream though. If I went full time and YouTube felt like a job, I would probably have a panic attack. Because right now, 9 years into this, it doesn't feel like that for me. It's still a hobby because I have a full-time job. So
can I ask though, because this is a question definitely that I need to know then. Does your job feel like a job to you?
Look, I mean, it's a job, but I am in the rare position of actually enjoying my job. I'm a apartment maintenance. That's what I do. And I like working with my hands, and I've always been that type of person. And I've always been the type of person that likes to stay busy. I don't like downtime. It's just the way I am. I've always been the type of person. I like to stay busy. And in my current job, I do HVAC work, which is really cool. I like fixing things. I've always been that way even since I was a kid. So I think that's, so to me, it's hard when you say, does it feel like a job? I don't know. Like, when I'm there, I'm not like, God, I can't wait to go home. Of course we all want to go home, but I mean, I don't know. Do you feel like your job is a job?
100%. 100%.
Like
It's
I
always
said,
the
it's
question
rare.
is,
Yeah, most people don't like their job.
would you do your job if you didn't have to, is always the question, right? Like that's the job you love, is like, if I won the lottery tomorrow, or like, if I didn't have to work, would I show up? And with my channel, yes.
Yeah.
With my job, no.
I've literally asked myself that question. If I won the lottery, would I just quit and do just YouTube full time and still not have to worry about money? And I think I came up with the answer, depending on the job. Like if I had the job I have right now, I don't think I'd quit. Even if I won the lottery, I like being out and about, and I guess I just like my job. I don't know. It's weird. Here's the thing too. Maybe it's not the job. Maybe it's being at home all day, every day, kind of scares the shit out of me. Like I feel like I don't want to be I don't want to wake up and not have to get dressed. And maybe that's the military in me. I was in the military for 24 years. And so I was used to getting up, putting on my uniform, going out to work, a routine, coming home at 5 o'clock. And I think it's like the old man in Shawshank Redemption, where he was just institutionalized. I think that's what happened to me. I think I got institutionalized, and I don't like being stuck at home. It's always been an issue for me. What's up, Ashley?
But you also can do whatever you want. So like if I won the lottery, I would start producing independent horror movies. And that's what would get me out of the house, is to go into the studio and to talk to, upcoming filmmakers and trying to get their dreams up on screen, and talking to talent that I liked and had a vision for, like something like Elijah Wood does with his studio. I love that. That's the ideal, and then there's other things I'd like to do, anxiety clinic and whatever, but there's plenty of things I would do. I wouldn't win the lottery and then just like buy a fucking couch to sit on. Like, of course not. Nobody would. Nobody with money is sitting at home, right? they're out living their life. They're having a good time. You'd be out, right? I call bullshit. You'd quit your job. You'd go and do something more fun.
Well, I think, you saying you'd be on, I think I would like to be on a film set. I think I would be scared to death to direct my own at first. Yeah. But I would love to just if I could do that for 8 hours a day, be on a film set and learning how to make a movie. And we know how to make a movie, but there's a difference in knowing how and actually producing something that, you're passionate about. And I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it does scare the living shit out of me to direct a movie. But I think it's one of those situations where when it's like Stallone, he was talking about when he did Rocky 2, and John G. Avildsen directed the first movie. Yeah. And so they were looking for, like, John G. Avildsen, he wanted to go a different direction for Rocky 2. And Stallone was like, we're not going to do that. I don't want Rocky. Rocky's not that character. I don't want to go that route. So the studio didn't know what to do. So they gave Stallone the camera and said, here, you go make the movie. And he said he was scared out of his mind. But, it's kind of like trial by fire when you jump into it. Yeah. And then, so I think I would figure it out if they threw me into the fire. But I like fear, though. I like being afraid of things and then kind of diving in. So I don't know. Would you if you could direct a movie right now, would there be any fear in you, or would you be like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I need give me 30 people right now. Let's go get our equipment, and let's go get our location. Are you that type of person, or would you be scared to death?
It would depend on if I was on set and Mia Goth kicked me in the head. That's all I want.
It all circles back.
That's all I want. No, of course I'd be scared. I think the thing that holds us back from doing what we want versus what we feel like we need to do is the fear that we're going to suck at something we love. So we end up gravitating towards things that we don't really care about as much because you don't have fear of failure in something that you don't enjoy. It's like, oh, if I suck at making a cheeseburger, like, who gives a fuck? I don't care about cheeseburgers, right? But if you're like passionate about making a film and you suck at that, it's like going and getting a test for AIDS or cancer or something. Like, it's not true if you don't go get the test, right? Even though you might not have any talent, you won't know unless you do it, right? And you want, like, if you never do it, you can always wonder, like, I think I'd be a good filmmaker. But if you go out there and you make a shit movie, then you can't really say that anymore. You kind of have to accept, I'm not a good filmmaker. I think I tried it. I made Troll 2, and it kind of sucked. I don't know what I'm doing. I made The Room. I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? So that's the fear. I think we hide behind this like idea that maybe we could be good, but if we actually tried and we sucked at it, then we'd have to admit our passion is dead because we can't do it. We're not good at it. So most of us just, which is of course it sucks because that prevents so many people from going after what they want because of their own fear of that thing. So they'll go out and do things they don't enjoy because they don't care. So it is kind of a conundrum to a degree, because it's like, well, I'd rather suck at something I love than go and do something I suck at all my life, or that I'm good at. Because that's just it.
Exactly what you mean.
With hair, I've been a hairdresser for 20 years, and I don't really particularly care for it. And when I go into the salon and I tell people, like, I'm getting out of hair, I'm done, I'm not doing this anymore. When I leave Sedona, I am leaving hair. And they ask me all the time, they're like, but I don't understand. You're so good at it. Why don't you want to do it? And I'm like, there's nothing that you're good at that you don't enjoy doing, right? Like, if you're really good at cleaning the house, doesn't mean you enjoy doing it. It's just that you have those particular set of skills that make you efficient at it. That doesn't equate to enjoyment. So there's a huge difference between skill and enjoyment.
And here's the thing about fear, and I see this every day. I see so many people, like online, in real life, like even my coworker, we talk about this stuff, but there's so many people that they're great at something, but they don't have the motivation to climb that hill, because that something might be something that takes time and effort and coordination. And I see, and including myself, I'm sure there's certain things that I would love to do. Like I was just talking about directing, and it scares the shit out of me. But even like something as big as that, you can go lower down. And I see so many people, they say they want to do something. They say they want to do something. They say they keep saying it over and over and over, but they never do it. And that's their life, and that's great for them. But it drives me crazy when I'm like, do it. Just, you've said it so many times. Why not just jump in, just dive in? Like, and we were talking about, like, if I made a bad film, I would rather go in and make a bad film just to have the experience, to say, hey, I made a film. How cool is that? Like, how many people can say they made a freaking film? It could be the worst piece of shit on the planet. Yeah. But at least it would be something that I could say, hey, I did that. And that's the start of something. And I can learn from it,
And there's always Mystery Science Theater 3000 to come in and
that's
enjoyable.
Well, that's that conversation we were having about, why do you tear apart movies? That question that I get a lot now. Why do you do that? That's rude. I literally got something on Twitter yesterday. Yeah. How dare you put down Echo? Like, am I supposed to just love Echo? I can't tell you that Echo was atrocious. And I'm sorry, maybe that's rude. But if I directed Echo and somebody told me Echo was atrocious, it would sting at first, but then I would like, you know what though? Maybe they're right. And maybe I should learn from that's when you start having self-analysis, and you start saying, okay, what was it about this movie that I made that was atrocious? How can I work on that and fix that? And if I was making a film, I would much rather have a critic tell me this is shit. You know who will do that? My wife. Oh my God. She will tell me in a heartbeat, that's the worst piece of shit. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Now we know how Lee's sex life
She's
goes.
My worst critic. She will tell me you could do better. And I love that. It pushes me. Oh God, man, we've
Poor
I'd say
Lee.
this has been a freaking. Do you want to talk about the 28 days later news?
Sure.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up.
We were supposed to talk about upcoming. This is supposed to be part 2 of
I know.
upcoming 2024.
I knew this would happen. It always happens. All right, here we go. Hold on. Let me pull this up. 28 years later. So what I'll do to make this easy, do that. And that should work.
Very intentionally.
Yeah, that worked. Okay. So, man, I tell you, to give you a little backstory on this, Jesus. Back in 2015, I did an update on 28 months later. That was one of the first videos that took off for me. You know, update videos always they can do well. And this is when I first started YouTube. If you watch that video, you'll see too. Oh my God, I look really wet behind the ears. But for some reason, everybody wanted to know more about this. And then as years went on, I kept getting comments on that video saying, "Where's an update? Where's an update?" I'm like, I don't have an update. You know, I get it. I update it and then I move on. But there's been it's like every 4 years we get an update on 28 months later. And then I think a few months ago they said 28 years later, and then that just kind of dropped. And so now here we are again, and it's hard for me to take any news seriously at this point with 28. And this is probably my favorite infection zombie. I love the 28 days and weeks. I love those two movies to death. So it's a franchise that I've been begging to have another movie, and they keep dangling the carrot, and it never happens. I'm not going to read the story, but I read it earlier, and they don't tell you that much. All they say is that there's a potential trilogy in the works.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, and Danny Boyle is coming back. I think they're shopping it around though. Like they don't have a studio. I don't know.
They can get one easy.
Oh yeah. I mean that's a big. I mean it's Danny Boyle too. He can get a film made if he's a great director, and Alex Garland is a great writer. So,
yes,
I've even heard like Cillian Murphy. He is totally down with coming back if Danny Boyle wants him back. So
nice.
I don't know. We'll see. Cillian, that's the thing I love about Cillian. Like he's a team player. And he's as big as he is right now, Oppenheimer, but he doesn't forget his roots, and he's more than willing to do a movie if the story's good, or if you have like a director that's a good friend like Danny Boyle. So I would love to have Cillian back in 28. I don't know. We'll see though, man. I love those freaking rage. I call them rage zombies. People get really pissed off and bent out of shape when I say zombie in 28, but it gets me there. So. I don't know. Are you a fan of the 28 movies?
Yeah, I think that we should do the 28 years later. And then if it's a trilogy, the last one should be set in space 28 centuries later. That's where we should head, man.
Instead of xenomorphs, we'll have rage. How about rage xenomorphs? Ooh, that could be good.
I think xenomorphs are already raging, bro.
Yeah, I know, but they would have xenomorphs don't have eyes unless you got the human Xeno in Alien Resurrection. That freaking monstrosity.
Yeah, I like it. It's not my favorite infection thing for sure, but I really enjoy. You know what my favorite infection thing is. Everybody should at this point. I preach about it enough.
Wait, what is it? What is it?
The Last of Us.
Yeah, you love The Last of Us, man. I tried to watch it, and I'm probably wrong. I'm sure everybody loves The Last of Us, but I could not help but think of The Walking Dead when I watch it. I can't, but I don't play the games either. So
yeah. Maya jumped in. Maya's like, The Last of Us. She knows.
Yeah, how dare you? Getting on Maya's bad side.
No, The Last of Us is, it's my favorite. It's my favorite story ever told. The video games are perfect.
Where did I see that? Hold on. There's a movie nobody talks about. California. Holy shit! Yeah. What a great fucking movie. Okay, I'm done.
Early.
Put your titty back in your dress.
Yeah, put your titty away, Adele.
That is a movie, dude. I love California. People don't talk about it enough. That's a great Brad Pitt performance.
Oh yeah. Early Grace. Good character.
What a movie.
Yeah, I mean that was when he was showing his range. He did that. He did 12 Monkeys really shortly thereafter. Then he, of course, was doing like Fight Club and everything. But those were those early films where you're like, early films. That's funny.
Yeah.
But
remember back in the 90s and you had all those great freaking dark thrillers. California came out before Seven. But
those two. But I'm thinking of like the thrillers, the 90s thrillers. That's something we don't really do anymore, like Pacific Heights and The Net.
Great.
And
Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Yeah, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle.
Classic,
dude, I'll offend people with this line, but dude, the "don't fuck with me retard" line is like, that's iconic in this house. My wife and I would be canceled off the planet if anyone put a hot mic in this house. The amount of times that like we're just doing something and we turn around and just say like, "Don't fuck with me retard."
Well, I think it's that whole notion of anybody messing with your kid, you know, and when when Peyton goes up and she, defends that kid, it's not even her kid, but you just can't help but like, because I think we've all, if we've been a parent, we've been in that situation, where you go, you defend your kids tooth and nail. And sometimes, there's some kind of, I've seen it. My wife, oh my God, she's fierce when it comes to our children when they were young. And I literally have had to get between her and another woman because they almost came to blows over children. And that's just, people get passionate about their kids. Don't you dare touch my kids, And like I've wanted to punch a 6-year-old. Not really.
Oh, sure.
But really.
Sure.
Like
absolutely.
You pushed my kid down and you were bullying my kid, and we hate that.
Yeah, sure. Well, that's why that scene with Peyton in the school when she goes up and grabs that kid, even though Peyton's the villain of the movie, when she's getting bullied by that little kid in school and Peyton runs over there and grabs him by the fucking coat and like grabs him by the ear and is just like berating him. Yeah. I know I'm not supposed to root for her in that scene, but it's like, yes, we've all wanted to do it. And if you can watch the Solomon scene when he like holds the baby and Peyton's like telling him to give her the baby and he's like, no, and he turns his back and takes the whippings. Yeah. If you watch that scene and you're not like that so angry and crying 100%. If you don't cry in that scene, you're dead. Such a great job
inside. In that as Solomon.
Oh yeah, Ernie Hudson. Yeah.
But yeah, man, you're right. Back in the 90s, dude, they had freaking so many. And then you'd have like the erotic thriller with like Basic Instinct.
Oh, yeah.
And Sliver.
90s,
I don't know. Where is that movie? That doesn't happen anymore. Just they stopped making them. I don't know what it is. It's weird.
They make them, but they're super rare. I saw something last year that kind of reminded me of one of those. And I was like, God, I miss these kinds of movies. What happened to these? These were cool,
it's
like Double Jeopardy.
50 Shades of Grey.
Oh God.
Maybe it's me, but I see zero chemistry on screen between those.
I never watched it.
I watched. I made it through one of them, and this is a guy that loves 90s erotic thrillers, and though even like True Romance isn't an erotic thriller, but the beginning of that movie when Alabama and Clarence get together, I bought that chemistry. Holy shit!
Well, you got like Wild Orchid, 9.5 Weeks. Yeah, of course. Yeah, the erotic. They got that. That was when they were really pushing the envelope. I remember back in the day, those things were almost straight up porn.
It's like some guys walking through with a barrier now, and just saying, we can't cross this line. Yeah. Even though we're making a movie about bondage and that's supposed to be like.
Oh, I don't know, man. Poor Things was like softcore porn.
Yeah, Poor Things was a return to form for sure.
That took me back to like Crying Game days.
Yeah.
Showgirls.
The Lover. You ever see that one with
Gene
Mark?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's Color of Night.
Yeah, remember Showgirls?
Yeah, exactly. That's the one movie where I'm like,
striptease.
okay, I'm sick of nudity. I never thought I would ever say that, but it happened. With
Dude,
show
that
roles. I'm
pool,
like, and somebody put a freaking dress on. I mean, Jesus.
the scene where they fuck in the pool.
Movie.
The scene where they fuck in the hot tub or the pool, dude, that was straight up porn. That was straight up porn. Straight
up. Yeah. Oh my god, they had a bucket of ice water on the side of the
Ooh, the Crush, good one, Blue Attic.
Yeah, the Crush,
yeah,
great one.
Yeah.
And
Poison Ivy on the other flip side.
Poison Ivy, another great. There were so many of them.
Yeah.
What was the vampire movie with Alyssa Milano? Embrace of the Vampire.
I never saw that. That one.
Yeah. It's not good.
I prefer Nick Cage when it comes to Vampire's Kiss. That's I'm a vampire. That's like, dude, that's the best performance ever. It's so funny.
Can you imagine being the director on Vampire's Kiss and just watching, you're behind the camera and you're watching Nick Cage do his thing?
Yeah.
And
you're like,
I didn't expect that.
They're like, cut? I guess.
What? Maybe 1 out of every 100 actors will do what Nicolas Cage did in Vampire's Kiss. It's insanity.
It's so good. You got like One Spittin' with Jim Carrey. Yeah, you got all these like random things, but no one did it better than Cage, dude. That is the funniest performance. So good, man. I don't. What would you call that accent? What is that accent in that movie?
Which one?
In Vampire's Kiss. What is the
God,
accent that he's doing? That reminds me of like Tommy Wiseau, where you're like, what is this accent that you have? It's not from any country. It's not from anywhere.
Planet. That's what it is. By the way, Poor Things, I'm gonna pick on Mark Ruffalo a little bit. I don't think he was nailing the act. Like it's like kind of Kevin Costner when he did Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and he would go in and out of an English accent. Like some scenes he's literally fully giving an American accent, and then other scenes and this was like all over the news too. I remember after they were like, what was that? American, not just American, but audiences, they notice that shit, and they're not going to let you get away with it. You might think you're going to get away with it, but if you fuck up an accent, I mean, I'm that type of guy. If you mess up an accent, it's not going to ruin the movie for me, but I'm going to catch it. I'm going to catch it.
I guess for me, it was like a couple of things. One of them being that I felt like his character was phony. So he was. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like,
maybe
his character was so ridiculous and so fake and phony that like him kind of slipping in and out of that stuff was almost like par for the course for me, where he was having such a fun time being so fucking ridiculous. And he is like the perfect classic example of a character or just a person who's like, you want what you can't have. And just him being so ludicrous in that movie had me going pretty good. I was laughing pretty hard.
Oh, the dance scene is like
so ridiculous.
That's like the Wednesday dance scene from last year. I think the Poor Things dance scene is like this year's big dance. Like I loved that scene. You couldn't help but smile.
Yeah. Well, we had that I had that vote on which dance did you like better, the Wednesday dance or the Megan dance, because those were like the iconic dances of last year.
Yeah.
And then I guess Poor Things was last year as well.
Yeah, Megan. That was a good thing about Megan. The dance was really cool for sure. Even though it looked, wasn't that a real little girl doing that dance?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did. I thought it was CGI at first when I first saw the movie, but Gary brings up Brad Pitt doing an Irish accent in Snatch. The story behind that too was they wanted him to play Turkish, I believe, but Brad Pitt said, "I can't do a British accent, but I can do a completely like cockeyed, crazy accent, Irish accent." And so he did the Pike.
The Pikey. I love him in that.
He kills it. He's so good because there's nobody to like fact check him as far as the accent goes. Like that accent is so far out there that like there's 2 people on the planet that have that accent.
That accent is called drunk.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Have a shake when he's sitting on the couch.
You know who could do that accent though, and I feel like could pull that off 100%.
Yeah,
is Barry Keoghan.
Yeah. Oh my God, one of the best actors working today. Like he anything he does, I'll watch it sight unseen.
That's my favorite dance scene of the year.
Three-legged dance.
He gave me some of that Saltburn, bro.
Saltburn. Holy shit. That movie's got 4 shocking scenes. 4. And like, it's one of those movies, like, let's just space it out. Every shocking scene, you're just kind of like watching the movie and then you're like, what the fuck? You know, and that happens 4 times. Is he really going to fuck a grave?
Oh, so good. So good.
That's my kind of movie, though. You know, I like movies like that are just like Poor Things. They're just so far out there and they're crazy. Like Darling. Have you ever seen Darling from 2015?
Yeah. Lucky McKee film, right?
I think that's where me and you are. We kind of pull apart on some things, but I think we like really crazy out there weird shit. As long as there's a nice plot to kind of lead us through it. You can give me the weirdest thing you can possibly imagine. I'm fine with it.
You're talking about, that's the black and white Lucky McKee, Lauren Ashley Carter. Is that her name? Lauren?
I can't remember her name, but it's black and white, and she's like an innkeeper, and it's one of the most unique films I've ever seen, and like nobody ever talks about it. It's so good.
Yeah. I really like her. She's a good actress. She's super.
I haven't seen her in anything else. Chappie's got another one here. He says, "Do you think that it was sacrilege that they decide to do CGI on the Thing prequel, having practical effects on the alien creatures, but changed by Universal the last second?" And I love 2011 Thing. I have an answer to this, and it might not be what you expect, because I think most people, they say it's almost a crime that they didn't give us the practical effects version in the theater. Here's my thing with that, though. There's great practical effects, and then there's not so great practical effects. I've seen some of the behind the scenes. I don't know what the finished product would have looked like, but when I compare it to Rob Bottin, I started kind of thinking maybe there's a reason they decided to go a different direction. I could be wrong,
maybe,
but if you're going for more of a comedic type vibe, then you can have some really weird practical effects that don't necessarily scare you. They're just more on the comedic side. You don't want that for the Thing. And I think that might have been the issue that we had here. I could be completely wrong. Now, having said that, the CGI is really bad, like really bad, especially in the final act. And I like the Thing prequel. I think if you take the effects out of the movie, sadly enough, I like it. It marries perfectly up with Carpenter's. You know, I think it gets shit on too much.
Yeah, agreed.
So,
I think it's a really solid prequel. The CGI is a that is a big oversight, because obviously the Thing people love and is the most noteworthy thing about the Thing that everyone talks about, no matter what, is this practical effect. So that's like that thing, right? It's like you had one job. Mm-hmm. I can't for the life of me imagine that a high value type of film like that, a high profile film like that, didn't hire adequate practical effects masters to work on it. I can't fathom that being the case. And I know behind the scenes stills and behind the scenes footage might not look good, but this is where directing and editing and everything comes into play, where even like Carpenter, I mean, Carpenter was not a fan. Remember, if you watch, and I do watch some, behind the scenes stuff. I watched all the Lord of the Rings behind the scenes stuff, and there's 12 hours on both. But with Carpenter, he didn't like the way the guy with the slit wrists and the blood coming out of it looked at all. And he was like, I can't do anything with this. But then he figured out a way to film it, and it looks great. So it's all about lighting. It's about angles. It's about this and that. So I wouldn't take production stills unless it looks super goofy, right? Unless it looks like the masks from Troll 2 or something. Then, of course, it's like, oh, whoa, I'm glad we didn't see this. But it's all about lighting. It's about angles. It's about this and that.
I believe Tom Woodruff, actually, the guys that did Aliens, and I think most of the Alien movies outside of the first, Tom Woodruff, and I can't remember the other guy's name, but I think they did the practical effects on the Thing, and they're pretty high profile, reputable. So,
Yeah.
behind, like you say, behind the scenes is completely different than the finished product. So it's kind of unfair for me to say that, but I don't know. I don't really have an answer. It's tough. Will we ever see that version? I don't know.
No.
Maybe not.
Maybe. If we do, it'll be Arrow or Scream or something that's able to yank it from them. I think today I don't have a problem with CGI being in the movie. Like, if you want to use it for like touch-ups, wire removal, if you want to use it for just mild things, or if you want to use it, as long as CGI isn't noticeable, like all the best CGI is stuff that you'll never even know were there. Like, there's scenes you watch all the time in bigger movies that you don't know is CGI. No. Like where people are walking down a city street and they think they're like, oh, this is just a normal shot, and it's like, that's a green screen. It's like, oh shit, that's a green, like that's all CGI. Like the cars, like, there's cars in scenes that drive past and those cars aren't even real, but your brain doesn't even acknowledge them. So CGI is fine. It's just how it's used is always,
that's the point. If you don't know if it's CGI or if it's practical, then they've done their job and it works. Correct. Like there's a scene in Batman Begins when he comes straight down the the corridor, and then Batman walks out, and you would swear it's real. And they even did, like, if you watch the behind the scenes, they did like a side by side, because I think they shot the scene for real. But then I think there was an effect that they needed. You cannot tell that it's CGI. It is just seamless. And that's when you should do it,
And there's there's only so many times, there's only so many Jackie Chans that will fall off of a clock tower,
exactly,
almost die, and then watch the dailies and then say, I didn't like it, I have to do it again. You're not going to get many people who would do that.
Now, I posed a question to you.
Oh, yeah, we're supposed to talk about Scream.
I don't think we're going to get to Scream, but we can do the Saw X thing. And this is a good one for my chat, too. I want you guys' feedback on this. All right. Yeah. I asked Jason today, I was like, because I had this thought. I was like, oh, shit. I didn't realize Saw X was a big hit. It was a crowd pleaser. Everybody loved it. They kind of toned everything down plot-wise so that way the masses would enjoy it. But the big thing that stuck out about that movie was it wasn't a sequel to Spiral.
It's a between
gamble. They said, let's put a movie between two sequels, between 1 and 2. And these days, it seems like studios are super scared to take that approach. And I think you know where I'm going with this, like Halloween. Everybody's wondering what the next move they're going to make, if they're going to do like a, starting fresh. I gave you my pitch on what I think they should do, but I think it's not out of the question. Maybe there's a lesson learned from Saw X. Maybe they look at that and say, hey, you know what? Why don't we just do something between Halloween? Say, let's take off after Halloween 4,
Yeah. Jesse's got a great point. Saw X is what Rogue One did. So that's cool. Although Rogue One is set between obviously like Revenge of the Sith and New Hope, but it's more just a prequel to a New Hope is more of how you would look at that, as opposed to like if Rogue One was set between A New Hope and Empire, that would definitely be different. Yeah. Now, Solo is the same. Solo's set between Revenge and New Hope as well. So those are more like prequels to an original trilogy. Saw X is definitely unique in the fact that it is straight up set in between two of the original films. So it is very unique in that way. I can't think of many films.
Yeah, there's not that many that
do that.
The only problem with that is that, like Amanda, you could definitely see her age.
Oh, sure. I don't care about that.
It doesn't bother you.
I don't care about that. That's like one of my big gripes I have with Rob Zombie's Halloween too, is that they didn't bring the kid back, and he was like, "Oh, he's just too big." I don't care. I don't care. I'm willing to suspend the disbelief. I was willing to do it with Ian in The Hobbit, and I'm willing. I don't care. Give me the original actor. It's better that way. If they look older, I get it. They're older. I'm not an idiot. I know how these things work.
Yeah.
So you said you have a pitch, and you told me?
No, I don't think I told you. Gory brings up a good point there, though. I think that's the reason they did Saw X is because John Kramer is just such a big character. How do we get him back? Like John Kramer, he's like the Michael Myers of your franchise. So, and it's kind of weird that they're like, okay, let's get rid of our Michael Myers. We'll kind of put him behind the scenes for like the rest of the sequels. You got to have a damn good story to keep that going. So I think that's why they did this, because we need John Kramer back, and it worked. John Kramer was great. I think even you would agree with that. He was awesome in Saw X.
Mm-hmm. I think that if Brad Dourif I think is it Cult of Chucky or is it Curse of Chucky? I can't remember at the moment, but they have a flashback scene with Brad Dourif playing, Charles Lee Ray before he's killed. And in the original movie, he's like in his 20s or 30s at the latest. And of course, Brad Dourif now is like 70. And they just threw a wig on him. He kind of looked like Tommy Wiseau, actually, in that flashback. And I hate when but I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, don't do the de-aging if you don't have the money.
I hate that de-aging shit because all they do is just smooth out the wrinkles and it looks ridiculous.
It depends, though, because like the de-aging that they did in Book of Boba Fett on Luke Skywalker looked fucking incredible. So it depends. It didn't look good at the end of Mandalorian season 2. That looked terrible. That looked like a fucking cartoon character. But in the Book of Boba Fett, when he goes to pick up Grogu, he tries to, just visit him. Luke looks incredible there, right? Like I would now in that instance, would I just want Mark Hamill to like go in and try to pretend he's young Luke? No, that wouldn't work. That wouldn't work because his image is too iconic. And I just feel like, but with these other movies with a child's play, I don't care as much. It's just like, Brad Dourif's older, whatever. He's not 20 anymore. I don't give a shit. Anyways, moving on from that is, I didn't think about this a lot. I will admit. I talked about it with my wife for about 2 minutes, and what I came up with in that 2 minutes. I'm trying to look around my collection to see if there's anything else that maybe I would pick.
Is there a sequel that's missing in a franchise that you want so bad?
Okay, this is what I came up with when I was thinking about it. I think it would be, and I will come up with a better answer, and I'll probably text it to you later. But for now, what I would pick is I want a movie in between the opening of Friday the 13th Part 2 and the 5 years later in Friday the 13th Part 2. I want to see Sackhead Jason roaming the woods. I want to see, you could even throw in his interaction with Chris from Part 3. Right?
Yeah.
And his attacking of her and see what happens.
Flashback.
Yeah, the potential rape or whatever the hell happens.
It's like Jason's wanting to rape her or something. He's chasing her through the woods.
When he lifts his mask and smiles at her, it's almost like I'm your rapist.
We need that back. That's what's missing from Friday the 13th. We haven't had psycho hillbilly Jason in so long, and he could be hillbilly with the hockey mask. I think he was a little bit hillbilly in 3.
Well,
now he's Rambo, pretty much.
I've said this many times, and I feel like there's a few franchises, Scream being one of the best examples, but that didn't do it when they should have. Yeah. So what I think, we've talked about this before, but Friday the 13th did it sort of for a short time and then abandoned it. But I love the idea of a iconic slasher villain donning a new look every movie and grabbing a different mask every film and wondering, like a James Bond movie, who's going to be the next James Bond, and seeing like what's his mask gonna be this time. We got the Sackhead. Yeah, exactly. We got the Sackhead, the second movie. We got the hockey
Sleep
mask,
Token.
the third
they just
movie.
did it too. They changed their masks.
Yeah. But
I don't know if I like that, Jason. If Sid Meier's, if he changed the mask, I don't know. I think that would piss me off. Just because the Shatner mask is so
you would
iconic.
now. you would now.
Yeah.
Now that they're 13 films in, of course.
But this right here, man, you can't replace that. That's
can't
iconic.
now because it's iconic. But
yeah,
how do you feel like the reaction to his mask was in part 3 when people got used to him wearing a sack head? Because for a year, people were like, Jason wears a sack on his head. Then in the third one, he gets rid of the sack and he picks up a hockey mask. Because you got to remember, at that time, that was just a hockey mask.
Yeah.
Like now we see that mask and we think Jason. But at the time in which he put that on, everyone at that time knew that as a goalie's mask. They were like, that's what goalies wear. So to me, I feel like people in the audience in the 80s were probably like, what the fuck? He changed his mask? That's weird. And I think that if they would have kept that up, having done, you got Jason's mom in the first, you've got Sackhead Jason in the second, you've got Hockey Mask Jason in the third, you've got whatever the fuck in the fourth. That would have been cool. It would have been something unique to the franchise where you get an iconic new look every movie. And so so with Friday 2, like 2.5, and you get like Jason out in the woods in a sack head. You could even have a moment where he set it in the winter and it's in the snow and Camp Crystal Lake freezes over and you got kids out there playing hockey and you're like observing him and this is where he like gets the idea of like wearing a hockey mask later or something. It becomes kind of like something in his mind that to think back on later. But regardless, I think that'd be really cool to have a Sackhead Jason movie again. I think we'll get it in the Crystal Lake series. We did get
probably.
it in the remake. He did don the sack for a little bit, but to see a Sackhead Jason movie again set between the events of Alice's death and 5 years later would be pretty cool to me.
I think Jason is he might be one of the few, if not only, slasher killers that doubled down. And what I mean by doubled down, like mask wise, is he's scary with the mask, but then when he takes off the mask, it's 10 times it's exponentially scarier. Like when I first saw his face in 3, hell 2, when he jumps through the window.
Yeah.
That is the scariest face I think to this day I've ever seen in my life. And I always wanted that for Myers, but I didn't want to ever see Myers' face, because they never really showed his face for those first, even 5, they didn't really show his face. And I always thought, man, if they did show Myers' face, wouldn't it be cool if it was completely burned and you saw like a dead eye and maybe, give Jason some competition? Because Myers, let's face it, he pretty much looks like a normal guy behind the mask. Even though he shouldn't because he burned in 2.
We see Tony Moran's face pretty clearly in 1.
You do, but there was something really creepy about Tony Moran's face because he had the eye thing going on. Because he got stabbed
in the eye.
And tell me if you think I'm wrong here. The fact that Myers looked handsome made him even scarier, even creepier. Or
he looked like, he was definitely more normal looking.
I didn't expect that.
But I mean, it makes sense, right? Because we see a very handsome, cute boy in the opening. He's a very normal kid.
Well, Carpenter even wanted him to have like an angelic looking face, where you don't get that in the David Gordon Green trilogy. Granted, he's in his 60s, but I always thought that was kind of a cool aspect with Myers, is that he's completely the most evil entity that you could possibly imagine. No freaking empathy for anyone, no emotion. And yet when you take his mask off, it's this innocence, the innocent looking face. And I think that juxtaposition makes him even creepier.
Now,
whereas Jason, he looks like you would expect a monster killer to look like.
If you were to pull off Michael's mask in part 4, though, he would just still have the bandages on because he wears the bandages under the mask in part 4.
Yeah.
We can see him slip it right over. So he's actually like, I actually always took Halloween 4 that Myers is blind and that he kind of like uses his senses to hone in on people, because his eyes are completely covered over and he puts the mask on over the wrapping.
And that would prove the point that he is actually evil, because if evil takes over a body, does it really need eyes?
No.
Not really.
But then in part 5, he's been using a lot of moisturizer, Noxzema. His skin is better than mine,
it's
dude.
Beautiful skin.
Don Shanks, he's got
Native American skin.
Yeah, dude.
It's gorgeous.
They show his face pretty good too there.
You know, when I first saw it on VHS back in the day, even in a theater when I saw Halloween 5, when he took off that mask, you know, I was just like, oh shit, here we go. And then all I saw was just the eye and a little tear. But they do show it earlier in the movie. If you look at the Bluray, when he's in the old
when he stumbles when he stumbles backwards, when she's like, uncle, and then he stumbles backwards and knocks the thing over, you can see his face pretty clearly in the Blu-ray.
You know, Maya brings up a good point here. Real evil doesn't necessarily look evil. That's where they did get it. You know what?
And look at her picture.
I don't know if you've ever seen Passion of the Christ. All right, but I'm going to bring this up. There's a scene in Passion of the Christ where, as Jesus is getting beaten, you see the devil slowly walking through the crowd, and he has a very beautiful woman's face. He's bald, but they specifically wanted to give him like an angelic, pretty face, even though he's the devil, and he's kind of just walking by and he's just like enjoying, you know, what's going on. So I think there's something to that about trying to make evil in horror movies sometimes look angelic or innocent. And I think there's probably been a couple of horror movies that have done that, like not really evil, but like Species. You know, Species, she's the most beautiful woman on the planet, and she's going to kill you. Like she's the most deadly thing on the planet, and she's going to seduce you.
There's something there. Of course, there's something terrifying about that, because, you know, if you see a guy wearing a fucking, you know, sack over his head in the forest, you're going to run, right? Like, you're immediately on guard. But if you run into someone very alluring, I mean, that's the whole thing with vampires or whatever, right? Like, it's your guard as being put down, because everyone has, you know, a weakness in what they.
That's
like.
a great example. Vampires.
You go to bed, you go to bed with someone, or if you put your guard down, right? Like, I mean, of course it would be easier to get killed by someone who you trusted than someone who you didn't.
Let me think about that. Hold on. It would be easier to get killed by someone you trusted.
Sure, because I would sleep right now. I mean, if my wife wanted to kill me, it would be way easier for her to kill me than a fucking guy on the street.
To get the job done. Yeah.
I'm putting my guard down. I sleep next to her every night. She could slit my throat in my sleep if I want.
Yeah. You know what I mean? You're vulnerable. And she could say the same thing about you. I mean, women in general, you know, we always say men and women, everything's about equality these days. We're not the same creatures. Okay. And I think women put themselves in danger every time they go on a date, because let's face it, men by nature, you know, they're hunter gatherers. They're the stronger of the two, you know, of the species. I'm trying not to be offensive, but I'm just stating a fact and what I believe. Yeah, I think there's circumstances where a woman can be stronger than a guy. Yes, it does happen. But when a woman goes out on a date with a guy, I think she's the one that's more afraid than the guy is, of like physically, right? Would you agree with that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. We all know this to be true. I've always stated this. Yes. If you look at like the toughest chick that you can find, like a Ronda Rousey or something, if you look at these like really, really strong women, and then you look at like really, really strong men, there's no comparison. If you look at like someone like The Rock, if you look at someone like, you know, Brock Lesnar, if you look at the dude who plays the Mountain in Game of Thrones, there's no woman on planet Earth that could like physically do anything against a guy like that. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
So that's not. My wife and I have had this discussion a trillion times, and this is we could do an entire 2-hour segment on this discussion right here. So I don't want to just like brush over this really quickly and be super like,
no,
you're
right.
It's hard. It's a tough discussion to have, but the only thing I'll say on that is I think people confuse that with weakness. They're like, oh, because I'm physically less able, somehow that makes me less than, and that's just not the truth at all in any way.
There's so much more to it.
There's so much more to life.
I would even say women
than your strength.
And this might get me in trouble. I think women sometimes are smarter than men.
Oh, they're much more well read typically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. What the hell, Levi? I think women they're better at dealing with like immediate trauma than men. Like, to give you an example, one time my cat. This is when my wife and I first got married. My cat was choking to death. I panicked. I was freaking out, and I didn't. Time froze, and I didn't know what to do. My wife immediately went into. She knew exactly what to do. For some reason, she has that ability to not panic. And, because saving the cat was easy, but I freaked out. I couldn't deal with the abruptness of the situation where she was able to do that. I think there's a little bit of truth in women.
Yeah.
Maybe it goes the other way too, but yeah.
I think that's just a human thing. That's like some people can see blood and it's fine, and other people see blood and they pass out.
Oh yeah.
I think that's just a case by case basis. But Maya has a good point there. That's why women be poisoning motherfuckers. That's 100%. That's why that's the most common way for a woman to kill, and there's a reason. It's because they can't physically overpower them, so they poison them. Right? That makes sense. And guns always even the playing field anyway.
Yeah.
Nobody's tough against a gun.
Well, my dog's freaking out, so
and I gotta go
cut
anyway.
it right here?
Yeah, we gotta do.
I gotta get some food in me too.
So to wrap this up, Lee is saying men are superior to women in every way.
Every way.
And I'm trying to argue the opposite. So
there you go. And now I've lost half the subscribers. Or
no, let's be honest. I was going to say 10% of them.
I'm just kidding, though. Of course, we're different species. That's all I'm saying. Okay, women have pros that men don't have. Right?
We're different sexes, or we're the same.
Exactly. We all have our own strengths. So. Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're going to end it right here. But, man, this was fun, Jason. So I'll definitely get Jason back on if I can.
Next time, we'll actually do what we came on here to do.
We never do, yeah, but we'll try. Okay? Take it easy, everybody. Love you guys.
Love you.